Hey friends, it is Lane with Tim's Nation. I'm here today to talk to you a little bit about the Blood Angels list I'm running into DJ today. So, first of all, if you're new to the channel, you may notice that my Blood Angels are all very dark red. So dark that you might mistake them for being black. So, I'm a Death Watch player, but when they took away my Death Watch army last year, I started pivoting into Blood Angels, but kept painting everything Death Watch black. So, uh, yeah, my army's all black. So, but we have some of the Blood Angels units in here. So I have some of the characters, some of the units. Only one proxy today. I don't have as many Sanguinary Guard as I'd like. So we're using some Custodes Venatari. Same base size, same guy idea of guys with wings painted gold. So they're a pretty close proxy. So we'll be using some of those today. But we are running Angelic Inheritors today. Now, I just wanted to try a few things with this list. I don't think this is a super competitive build. I know some people have tried to run Angelic Inheritors competitively. It definitely has some play, and I think it'll be interesting into DJ's World Eaters today. But it also, man, when I play Blood Angels, I love that +2 strength and +1 attack on the charge with Liberators. So I know I'm going to miss that with Angelic Inheritors here. The consistency of the rerolling ones to hit and ones to wound is really strong. The consistency of being able to fall back, shoot and charge is really strong. So I know there's a lot of power and play there. I just like that extra strength, especially on things like Blade Guard vets. Pushing them from strength 5 to strength 7 is a huge deal. It's a huge break point, both in their punching down into infantry and up into vehicles and monsters. So, yeah, but this is just a fun list. I'm going to try a few things out. I always keep trying to make Outriders work. So Outriders definitely benefit from the fallback and charge ability in this army because they get their buffs. They get +1 strength and +1 damage on the charge. So we're definitely going to be looking for them to do some work today. So I'm taking a big old brick of the Outriders. We're taking some Sanguinary Guard. They're pretty good and pretty efficient at their points right now. And yeah, just a bunch of Inceptors. We have an Uppy Downy strat in this detachment. Uppy Downy a jetpack unit, so I'll hopefully use them to score a little bit, do a little bit of shooting, and then just get in there and punch a lot. It seems like a very appropriate matchup. World Eaters versus Blood Angels. Let's just get in there and mix it up. Let's get stuck in and have a good time. So let's go through the list here and talk it out. All right, this is exactly 2,000 points of Blood Angels in Angelic Inheritors. So just to review the detachment rule, of course, for Space Marines, we get Oath a Moment. But the way it works is that there are 3 different abilities. So one, this unit is eligible to shoot and declare a charge in the turn which it fell back. The second one, Carmine Wrath. Each time a model in this unit makes an attack, reroll a hit roll of 1 and reroll a wound roll of 1. And then their appointed hour, you can reroll advance and charge rolls made for this unit. So at the start of the game, we pick 2 of these abilities, and any character unit, so any unit led by a character or just a character themselves, gets access to those abilities. So any character unit being able to reroll once to hit and once to wound is super efficient. It gives them the ability to not need Oath a Moment as much. The math's probably about the same, full rerolls to hit versus rerolling once to hit and wound. And of course, the ability to fall back, shoot, and charge is really strong with a combat army, and especially because we get a lot of buffs. We have a Lance strat. We have the Outriders that get buffs for when they do charge. We've got some Lance Sanguinary Guard. So all those are going to be big benefits for us. So moving on to the list itself. As you guessed, with a list that benefits having characters, we do have 7 characters today. So let's start with the big ones. We do have the Sanguinor. I usually don't use the Sanguinor when I play Blood Angels. But, you know, in Angelic Inheritors, he's going to reroll once to hit and wound, which just makes his attacks a lot more efficient. So his abilities, of course, he has Fights First and Lone Op and Deep Strike, and you can reroll failed Battle Shock leadership tests for any Adeptus Astartes units within 6 inches. I'm pretty sure that's a rule I'm going to forget, and it's not going to come into play. I can just tell when I read a rule, like, yeah, that's what I'm going to forget. So that's one of those. The real rule for this guy is Miraculous Savior. So once per battle at the end of your opponent's charge phase, if this model is still in reserves, you can select an enemy unit that made a charge move this phase. Set up this model on the battlefield within engagement range of that enemy unit. This is a crazy ability. So he starts the game in reserves, and at some point when my opponent completes a charge, I just make him appear in engagement range with that unit. Of course, he does have fight first and a pretty decent combat profile. So he just shows up and then gets to fight first. So it's a really strong counterpunch to combat armies. Of course, he's not going to be great into vehicles and monsters and things because his strength is not that high, but it is a real unique piece in the game. Now, of course, one of the nice things about this is when you place him, you can place him so that not very many of your opponent's models can actually fight into him. Being after your opponent's charge, he's made his charged into a range and got into base contact with things. You just place him anywhere within engagement range of that unit. And there's a lot of technical play in that ability. So, and then for his actual attack profile, he does have 8 attacks, hitting on 2s, of course, strength 6, AP 3, 2 damage with devastating wounds. So he's pretty good in medium to light infantry. At strength 6, once we get into T6 infantry and higher, of course, he's not going to do that great, but he gets the efficiency of rerolling 1's hit and wound in this detachment. So, of course, he also has lone op, which is kind of nice. Once he gets out on the table, it's hard to shoot him down. And for some reason, he just has like a ton of wounds, guys. He's got a 2-up save, 4-up invuln, and he's got 7 wounds, which is kind of a lot for a Space Marine character. Moving on to big old golden Space Marine characters, we also have Commander Dante. So Commander Dante is going to be leading a 6-man brick of Sanguinary Guard today. I wanted just a couple big old hitting units, some smaller medium hitting units, but I wanted to have a couple big ones. So Dante is going to be leading a 6-man of Sanguinary Guard. So his abilities, he's going to give his unit +1 to advance and charge rolls. Neat. And at the start of the fight phase, enemy units within 6 inches have to take a battle shock test at -1. Cool. Let's see here. He does have a neat Inferno pistol that's sustained D3. So if you roll that big 6 on his Inferno pistol, you're going to get D3 extra shots. Hilarious on a melted 2 Inferno pistol. But of course, he hits real hard too. 8 attacks, strength 8, AP 3, 2 damage with lethal hits. So yeah, I mean, he hits hard. AP 3 in combat is something that's difficult to find in Space Marines. So he's really strong there. And of course, even if his unit dies, he can go out and do a lot of work by himself as well. Moving on, we also have a chaplain on a bike. So the bike chaplain, obviously going to be leading Outriders, gives his unit +1 to wound in combat, and then also whenever they shoot, he picks an enemy unit within 12 inches, and his unit gets devastating wounds when they shoot at that unit, which is cool because all their bolters are twin linked on the bikes, so you can kick out some devastating wounds into your opponent. And of course, the +1 to wound is a big deal, punching up, and especially with the Outriders now getting +1 strength, going from strength 4 to strength 5 on the charge, and then getting +1 to wound to that. And in this detachment, obviously they can fall back and charge, which means they're going to be able to reset that charging ability that they have every time. So chaplain on bike. We do have a jump captain as well. Captain, I forgot. The chaplain on bike does have the troubling visions enhancement. I had the points left over, didn't know what to do with them, so we're taking troubling visions. All this means is that once per game in my command phase, I can decide that all 3 of the detachment abilities are active. So once per game, his unit will get a free charge reroll. That's about it. Moving on, we do have a jump captain. Jump captain is going to be leading a 3-man of Sanguinary Guard. Jump captain gives his unit +1 strength on the charge, and of course they can use a strat for free. We've got some great strats in this detachment. One would be a lethal lance. in combat, and another will be a lone op outside of 18. So his unit can kind of move into a good position to get on an objective and force the opponent to get close enough to attack him. If they want to shoot him, they got to get within 18. So the free strap with the captain will be good. Of course, he's got a power fist, so he punches kind of medium hard as well. Then we do have a Judicar. I gave the Judicar the Prescient Flash enhancement. Judicar gives his unit fight first, of course, and he has precision naturally. If he manages to kill a character, he gets an extra attack. Neato. He's going to be leading Blade Guard vets today. So the Blade Guard vets will get that 6-inch scout move to kind of move them closer to the middle so they can get into a good position to defend an objective there. The fights first is a big deal, obviously, with the Judicar, especially today because we're going into a combat unit. And then we've got a couple Phobos characters here. We have a Lieutenant in Phobos armor. He's going to be leading Reavers. He gives them lethals, of course. Is that the only thing he does? I don't remember. It's been a while since I've used them. I usually use them solo. I don't attach them to units. Gives his unit lethals. Oh, and they move 6 inches after they've shot. Of course, they cannot charge after they've moved that 6 inches. Earlier in the edition, they did have that ability, so I know we don't have that ability to charge after they've done the shoot and move thing. But yeah, I'll be using him in the Reavers to try and steal an objective somewhere. And then, of course, we have the Combi Weapon Lieutenant. So Combi Weapon Lieutenant, you know him, you love him. He gives us the wound rerolls of 1 on a certain objective that we pick at the start of the game. He has a counter move, so he scooches around, stays alive for a while, does some actions, blocks out deep strikes, gives you some wound rerolls for part of the game. He does have the Ordained Sacrifice enhancement. So the first time he kills, I'll roll a d6 on a 2-up. He'll stand back up with 3 wounds remaining, making him very durable. I know a lot of people that have tried this list competitively have used that enhancement on this guy. So let's move on to the actual units. We do have a 6-mana Blade Guard vets. Blade Guard vets they have a good attack profile, just kind of a medium good attack profile. 4 attacks apiece, strength 5, AP2, 2 damage. So at strength 5, can't quite punch up into the T10 and higher stuff. So that's why I like these guys in Liberator more. But I think they're a good fit for the Judicar. Their ability, of course, is that at the start of the fight phase, you choose to either reroll 1s to hit or 1s on your invuln save. Now, because they'll get the reroll 1s to hit already from the detachment, you can always choose to reroll 1s on your invuln save, so they're going to get both of those abilities stacked together. Of course, having a 4-up invuln on these 3 wound models makes them kind of durable. Having the fight first on them with a Judicar is going to make them even more durable. And of course, DJ's got some Forge Fiends out there that will be shooting at these guys, but if I can keep them outside of 18 inches, I can use that 18-inch lone op strat to try and keep them just alive a little bit longer. Moving on, we do have Inceptors. Oh my gosh, guys, we have so many Inceptors today. So I do have a 6-mana of Plasma Inceptors, a 3-mana of Plasma Inceptors, and a 3-mana of Bolter Inceptors. So the Inceptors are good in this detachment. For the main reason that there's a stratagem in this detachment that allows you to pick up a jump pack unit, put them back into reserve. These guys have 6-inch deep strike, of course. They shoot medium hard to strong hard, depending on what your target you're going into. When they're overcharged, they're strength 8, AP3, 3 damage, and they have twin linked, so they can punch up at the vehicle some. If I could have squeezed in a Thunderstrike speeder in here to give them +1 to wound in the monsters of vehicles, I would have done that. But instead, we just took more of the guys. So we're going to be using, obviously, the 6-man to do damage, the 3-mana plasma to do a little bit of damage too. But the smaller squads, the 3-man squads, are good for scoring as well because they do have that 6-inch deep strike ability, so they can get into tough places for scoring purposes. So I'll be using them for that as well. An Outrider squad. I'm taking a big old Outrider squad. We're doing a 6-man squad with an ATV with a multi-melta attached onto it. So the Outriders, when they charge, they do get +1 strength and +1 damage. Taking all their chain swords to damage 2, which is pretty relevant. Yes, because each one gets 4 attacks at strength 4, AP1, 1 damage. So going to strength 5, AP1, 2 damage is good. The AP1 is kind of weak, but really, we're going for their mobility here. They're somewhat durable because they're toughness 5 and 4 wounds apiece. And attaching that ATV on there with 8 wounds means they can tank a lot of damage before they get taken down. Obviously, in this detachment, I have the option. I was thinking about putting the scout move on the chaplain to attach to them, so they would be able to scout a little bit forward and get into better cover. But I decided to put that on the Judicar. And with these guys, because they're such a big unit and they're hard to hide, if DJ does decide to shoot at them with something like the Forge Fiends, I can use that lone op strat if they're outside of 18. So keep an eye on that. But really, I want them to get out there, do some damage, and then just cause a problem by being medium durable. We'll see how durable they are at 4 wounds apiece. We'll see. We'll see if DJ puts me to the test today. We do have 1 5-mana Reavers. Reavers, they do have a scout move, but I'm going to be putting them in the deep strike because they do have the grab shoots. So the Phobos Lieutenant's going to join them. They're going to go in the deep strike. Going to rapid ingress them somewhere and try to steal an objective from DJ. Probably try to steal his deep deployment zone objective because they have deep strike. Their special ability, they have a pretty good set of a couple abilities for stealing objectives. So first of all, at the start of the fight phase, every enemy unit within engagement range has to take a battle shock test at -1. And then while any enemy unit, excluding monsters and vehicles, is within 3 inches of them, subtract 1 from the objective control characteristic with models in that unit. And in the rules in the FAQ, it does say that, you know, when you're modifying objective control, you can take it down to 0. So even if something's OC1, we do subtracting to make that OC 0. So they are great for getting in there and stealing objectives. Of course, they do attack fairly well into very light into light units. Their melee attacks, 4 attacks apiece. Strength 4, AP 1, 1 damage. They have precision built in there, so they can precision out light characters. Of course, they're going to be led by a Phobos Lieutenant, so they'll have lethals all the time. And because it's a character unit, they'll be rerolling 1s to hit and wound. So again, not going to put them into tough units, but they should be able to steal an objective for one of those from a skirmishing type of unit or something that just sits on a deployment zone objective. And then finally, we have 2 squads of Sanguinary Guard. So we do have a 6-man and a 3-man. So Sanguinary Guard, each time a melee attack targets them, you subtract 1 from the hit roll. So they're -1 to hit in combat. And then if they are being led by a character, they subtract 1 from the wound roll. So they're -1 to wound as well, which is important because they're only T4. They do have a good defensive profile as far as being 2-up armor and 4-up invuln with 3 wounds apiece. So when we stack the neg to hit, neg to wound, and the invulns on there, they become pretty durable, at least in combat. I wish they had some kind of defensive ability from shooting, because sometimes they just die to shooting. So for the 2 squads, I am running the 6-man is going to have the Encarmine Blades because it just gets them the higher AP. And on that big unit, I would probably use the strats to give them lethal and lance. The smaller 3-man unit that I'm going to use to skirmish with other smaller units, I'm going to give them lance. So it'll only be AP 2, but same number of attacks, same weapon skill. It's all strength 4, AP 2, 6 strength 6. 2 damage. It's just that the blades are AP 3 and the spears are AP 2 with lance. So the 3-man is going to have the lance, the Encarmine Spear, and the 6-man is going to have the blades. All right. That's it. That's the list. Okay, so strats. I don't have. I don't think I've only played this detachment ever once, so I do have to look at my phone, guys. So we do have some solid strats. Of course, Armor Contempt. Armor Contempt is great on some of these bigger units. Like the bikes, because they are 4 wounds apiece, and maybe if you have them because they're so big, they're probably going to be in cover, so giving them Armor Contempt is good. Of course, the Sanguinary Guard are great for that too, because they're 2-up armor. So Armor Contempt is very relevant in this detachment with these models. Focus Fury, this is the one I plan to use probably the most in the fight phase. It gives the unit lethal hits, and if they're led by a character, then it gives them lance as well. Every unit in my army is led by a character other than Inceptors. So, yeah, we'll plan to use this quite a bit, especially, like I said, on the 6-man Sanguinary Guard, because I gave them the blades for the higher AP. So when they go into a tough target, we're going to go for the lance and the lethals. Yeah, that'll probably be the key one. The other one I'm going to be using the most is Unto the Burning Skies. For 1 CP, you can pick up a jump pack unit and put them back into reserve. So we have this... Most of the Sanguinary Guard and the bikes have really good movement characteristics, so it's probably not going to be them, but it'll probably be Inceptors to pick them up. We can pick up the 6-man to do damage, or a 3-man to drop in and do some scoring on a regular basis. I'll probably start a 6-man and a 3-man on the table and just have 1 3-man in reserve for scoring purposes. They do still have a 10-inch move, and they have assault on all their bolters, so they can still get around and shoot, but being able to pick them up and bring them into a good position is always really strong. And other than that, we do have the Lone Op. I love the name. In the Shadow of Great Wings is our Lone Op strat. 18-inch Lone Op on any character unit. Definitely has value. I'm going into an army with not a lot of shooting. A couple of Forge Fiends, but they're always going to be trying to get within 18 of their targets because their shooting gets much better within 18 inches. So I doubt I'll be using this one a whole lot today. Obviously, into other matchups, super strong, especially if you're putting key units onto midfield objectives and trying to hold that out there. By forcing your opponent to get closer to shoot you, that means they're going to get closer so you can countercharge and counterpunch into them as Blood Angels, which is what you want. You want your opponents to be nice and close to you. So, yeah, that's about it. There's a couple other strats I don't really anticipate using. That's it. Really, all I want to see, I want to give these Outriders a test. Every once in a while, every couple months, I get the itch to try and make Outriders work. So we're going to make it try again today. Like I said, they get a big buff, +1 strength and +1 damage when they charge. So being in a detachment where they can fall back and charge is really good. And of course, getting the rerolls from the chaplain or from the detachment ability will make them even stronger and more efficient. And other than that, I'm just looking for careful play on myself to trade my units well. We do have a couple fight first things. We've got the Judicar leading Blade Guard, and we have the Sanguinar. So we have a couple fight firsts. For me, it's just going to be careful trading because I don't have a ton of units in this army. So I took some bigger, tougher units. We don't have a lot of little scoring units. So it's going to be just making sure I don't give things away too soon. So follow me over to the battle report. Let's see how the Blood Angels and the Angelic Inheritors do. All right, have a good one, guys.